welcome to the Precious Blood Renewal Center. And my name's Lucia Ferrara, and I'm Hospitality Director here at the center. So I'm so glad that you guys are with us today. And our menu for the day is we are going to make Irish brown soda bread. Okay, so before I dive into the ingredients, I just want to give you a little bit of history behind the Irish soda bread. So the Irish soda bread started many, centuries ago with the Native Americans who actually started soda bread because they found a natural element that was called pearl ash that came from ash from burnt wood. So they would use that to leaven the bread that they make. So as the bicarbonate soda began to evolve and become more popular, the Irish adapted that recipe and used the bicarbonate baking soda in their Irish bread. So so that is kind of where the Irish bread came from. And the ingredients here, this bread has been made for a long time at many dinner tables, at many celebrations, specifically around St. Patrick's Day in Ireland and really throughout the world. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine who happens to be Irish got this recipe from his grandma, and I started talking to him, and I said, I really would like to do something Irish for one of my videos. And he says, well, why don't I share my grandmother's Irish brown soda bread recipe with you? And I said, wonderful. So I thank him for that. And I also have made this bread, and it's absolutely delicious. But the Irish were, when they went through famine, and they used this recipe just about every 2 to 3 days to make bread for their family. So, and by the way, one loaf that we're going to make today will serve your family at a dinner. So maybe 4 or 5 people. Okay, even 6. So, but it's so easy. If you want to bake a couple of loaves and give them away to your neighbor, to your friend, why, please do so. So, anyway, so we're going to go ahead and start, and I want to first begin with the ingredients, okay? So what we're going to do, I've already kind of, as you can see, I've kind of already measure things out. So we're going to use 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. You're also going to use 1 3/4 cups of whole wheat flour, okay? And you want it to be finely ground. So if you want to put it through a sifter, you can. If you don't have time, it's really okay, but the finer the better, okay? Then we're going to use 1 2/3 cup of buttermilk. Very important. Do not use vitamin D milk. Don't use lactose-free milk. Do not use low fat. It needs to be buttermilk. Okay? Then you need 2 tablespoons of crumbled up butter, and it should be cold, not warm or hot or melted. It has to be cold. And then we're going to use 1 teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to use 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And it has to be absolutely leveled. And I will show you when I take that teaspoon out. It needs to be leveled. If you put too much baking soda by accident and it's not level, it will turn your loaf of bread green. No joke, it will turn it green. Okay? And then the rolled oats we will save for last, and I will show you what we're going to do with that. And then also we use 1 egg. Okay? So we're going to start making our bread. So, but first, before we start putting the ingredients together, please preheat your oven to 425. Okay, so we're going to preheat the oven to 425, which I've already done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my flour in, both of them. Make sure your hands are clean too, because you're going to be using your hands to get this all mixed up in here, okay? Before we add the buttermilk, we are going to put the butter, okay? And the reasoning behind the butter being cold and you don't want it melted, you just want it when you start mixing the flour and the butter and the salt and the baking soda together, is because you want it to, it's kind of like doing a pie crust. You want it to be flaky, you want it to be like little pea-sized pieces. You don't want it melted in there, okay? Because what it's going to do, it's going to do that in the oven. Put our salt in there. Okay, I'm taking my teaspoon of baking soda and I need to make it level. And if you feel like you need to do this, make sure it's level like that. Go ahead. All right, so that's in there. Next, we're going to make a well in here after we kind of crumble the butter in with our salt and the baking soda. Okay, just going to mix it together. All right, now I'm going to create a well right in there, and that's where we're going to pour the buttermilk and your egg. All right, so I am going to grab a spoon. We're going to crack our egg in here. This is important because you want your buttermilk and your egg. You want to beat the egg and your buttermilk here. So you want it to be combined. Kind of break that yolk. Okay. And according to my friend, he said that when he went to Ireland to visit some of his friends, or family and friends, they would make this bread and they would get fresh eggs, brown eggs from the farm, from the chickens, and he said there's no substitute for that. So it really makes a difference too. So anyway, so if you have fresh eggs on hand from your very own farm, by all means use those. Okay, so we're going to pour this mixture into the well. Okay, we're going to pour it in the well there. Do not throw this out. We're going to use what's left in here for later. Now, with your hand, I'm going to kind of mix this up here. Okay. And you want it to where it's not so sticky. So you want to make sure that you get it here. I may need to use some extra flour to get this off my hands, but that is okay. And the key to this is again, it's kind of like the pie crust. The less you mess with it, the better. And that's all because due to having the loaf rise. Okay? So you do not want to knead this dough. This dough does not require kneading. It just needs you to kind of get it into this shape here, okay? Now I'm gonna grab some flour real quick. So we're gonna grab some flour, put it on your surface, okay? Move this over, we're gonna move this over, and I'm going to take my dough here. So you really shouldn't have much left in your bowl, okay? All right, now what you want to do, like I said, you're not kneading it, you're just kind of shaping it. Okay, it can be a little sticky, but that's okay. All right, so we're just going to kind of shape this. And traditionally, Irish soda bread is made like in a round like this, okay? So, and you kind of want to flatten it a bit, okay? Make it round, and then you want to flatten it just a tad bit. All right, now I'll be right back because I need to wash my hands, and then we'll be able to put it on our baking pan. All right, so I washed my hands and floured them again, and I also went ahead and prepared a baking tray here, and all I did was flour the baking tray. You don't need to put oil on it, you don't need to spray Pam on it, you don't need to put anything on there but flour, okay? So we're gonna take our bread here, we're gonna put it on our baking dish. Again, you wanna keep it round and just kind of flatten it out, okay? And what we're gonna do now, we're gonna bless the bread. And the tradition is that you take a knife and you make a cross in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Okay? So we've blessed our bread. Now we got to do one more thing. We have to poke our bread in every corner to get the fairies out of your bread, because you don't want those fairies to curse your bread, okay? These are just superstitions. They're kind of fun, but they also make your bread look pretty. I'm gonna poke it in every corner. And you can just do it with your finger, okay? Now we are going to take what was left over in your little bits of your buttermilk and egg mixture, and we're gonna glaze the top of your bread, okay? So we're just gonna take your fingers and just gonna glaze the top of the bread. Okay, this is gonna give it just that little bit of a shine, that rustic look to it a little bit. Okay. All right. So I like putting this on here because it really does look pretty when it comes out of the oven. Okay. Now, remember I told you you needed about a tablespoon of oats? So you're going to take your oats and we're going to sprinkle them on here. Now, there are very many variations of Irish soda bread. Some people put dates in it, some people put raisins in it, some people will put bits of chocolate in it. I mean, the possibilities can go on and on, okay? But today I didn't put nothing in this one, but if you put some raisins in there, it really tastes good too. All right, guys, so we're going to put this in the oven, and you're going to put it in the oven at 425, and you're going to let that bake for 15 minutes. And then you are going to turn the oven to 400 for another 30 minutes. Now, the important thing is with this Irish bread, you are not to open the door of your oven. Do not do it. It will cause it to go flat. So, and that's with a lot of different baking recipes. You don't want to open your oven door when it's baking, okay? So please, when you're ready to turn your oven down to 400, that's all you have to do, and then set the timer for another 30 minutes. So here we go. All right, so we are going to take out our bread out of the oven, and let's see what it looks like. Oh, look at this. Beautiful. Now, let me teach you how to see if your bread is actually done. All right, so I'm going to try to pick this up real quick. Knock on it. It sounded hollow, and so it is ready. And be careful, it's hot. I just have a high tolerance to heat. So I'm going to put this on my cutting board. Wow, this looks really, really yummy. So, and here it is, the finished project. And now at this point, we would invite our friends to come and have hot tea or coffee, or even soak it up with some hearty Guinness Irish stew, or some corned beef and cabbage, the typical meal that's usually served on St. Patrick's Day, and every day actually in many Irish households. But before we cut into our bread, I wanted to take a prayer from a book of Irish and American blessings and prayers that I found in our very own Precious Blood Renewal Center library, which all of you are welcome to come anytime to check a book out or just sit there and read some of our books. So let me open this. I found this prayer. Actually, it's called a blessing. And it's an Irish American blessing for March 17th, which is traditionally the day we celebrate St. Patrick. And the blessing today reads, "May it be a grand day for all of you. Be ye Irish, or as Patrick as you'd like to be. May your jars be limited to just a few. May you revel in God's great diversity. In a land where Muslim, Protestant, Catholic, Jew enjoy a constitutional variety, modestly raise a quiet cry and hue, to give thanks for peaceful ethnicity and praise for pluralism's brightest jewel. Drink joyous toast in all sobriety to the one from many neath red, white, and blue. And may God bless you this glorious day, the Father who holds the world together, the Son who walked among us, and the Spirit who makes each of us unique." I really like that one because we are very unique in every way. And I love when people are authentic and unique. So I invite all of you to come to my table. We're going to break bread together. I went out and I bought some Irish butter. Doesn't matter what brand. It just has a creamier taste, I think, than regular butter that we typically have here in the store. So I went ahead and bought that, and we're going to slice our bread. It's a little hot, so I'm going to get a towel, a clean towel, and kind of hold my butter here, or my bread. All right, look at that. Do you see the heat coming from the steam, coming from that beautiful bread? Look at that. This right here is what you want it to look like. It's a dense bread, it's a colorful bread, and it's very tasty. And if we didn't look at it earlier, but can you see the cross in the holes. So it makes for a pretty design. So I am going to take a piece of this. I'm going to put some butter on it. I'm a butter person. I like a lot of butter. All right. Let's eat this together, guys. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Thank you, and until next time, have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. Mmm.